Right then guys, welcome back to another video. And just very, very briefly, before we start the video, the supplements, we had so many issues with them in the last year. There's so many things that have gone wrong in terms of other people, external forces, but you haven't heard about that because we just don't blame other people here. But they're on pre-order now. They should be back in stock in around about 2 weeks. If you want to get them, the link will be below. There's a whole new website, everything, testimonials on there. We've really gone for it. Obviously, it's the new labels. The product is perfect again now. I know some people said last time the dosage was slightly lower. It shouldn't have been, so we scrapped them. We got another batch. It is what it is. That's business, but they're back to perfection now. Best supplement on the market if you've never taken them before. It's literally everything that a man needs, but all in one for one price, rather than having to go and spend £200 on Amazon or $200. That's what I used to have to do, spend £200. That's how I came up with it. So let's jump into the video. All those links will be below, but let's jump in, guys. So the reason I'm wanting to make this video is because so many people have said let me get a bit closer to you lot. So many people have said from the last video, in regards to balling on a budget, the video that I did around London and whatnot and all that area, people have said that it goes against balling on a budget. It doesn't. That's never what balling on a budget has been about, but it makes a great video. So let's make another video on it and let's clarify it. Let's wrap it up for everybody and let me show you guys what it actually means, okay? So the meaning of balling on a budget the whole time was to have a better life than the standard life. The standard life for me was very much, people going out there and getting a 9-to-5 job, saving up all their life to get a mortgage on one property. And then what they would have is one base, walk the kids to school, one local shop, one local gym, just one of everything, one holiday a year. And it's just, for me, that was just boring. I just thought, what's the point in dropping, I used to say to you guys like $1 million on one house in London, okay? So I did some further research. The average house price in London is around about 700,000. So instead of dropping like 700,000 on one house in London and then being like, what do we do from here? My theory was that you could rent in London, which I've always said in the videos, you should never buy in the major cities. In the melting pots, the tier 1 cities, you should never buy there. I might have to because of 1M International, but that's why, because it's so expensive to buy, I might as well buy one for you, and that's the benefit of, paying your yearly subscription. But I would never recommend buying in one of these places. The value goes up. If you're an investor and you want to put your money here and you want to wait for, you want to wait 10 years and then pull your money out, then that's different. But in terms of, your tier 1 city, which is like your London, New York, Tokyo, Shanghai, places like that, where you've got absolutely everything going on, I don't think the idea is to buy because it's just too expensive. You don't get enough for your money. In London, for example, you could drop 700,000 on the average house price and you would get, let's put it into context actually. You guys have roughly seen my place. This is just a 1-bedroom apartment. Yeah, beautiful views and stuff like that. Great location. But this would be 800,000. Just think about that. Think about that. 800,000. Just put that into context. 800,000 and you get a 1-bed flat. That's what I rent. I rent here. There's no way I would buy something like that. I just think it's ludicrous. For that same money out in the countryside, you would get yourself a massive, massive house, maybe even a swimming pool, massive shed, everything. I mean, like stables, you could do anything you wanted with that. You could probably get your own lake. Like, it would just be ridiculous. You could get something that was probably 50 times bigger than this apartment. That's why I see absolutely no point in buying. I've always seen a point in renting in the melting pots, in the major cities, in the tier 1 places, because then it frees up your lump sums. Because, a lot of people, they've got their mindset wrong. They live month to month, which in the early days is normal. You have to. But as you scale, as you start making more money, your mind should be on, if you want a better life, your life should be spread out. And I'm going to bring up some things for you on screen now. I'm going to structure it so I can show you guys, stage 1, where most people just invest in one area. And then I'll show you stage 2, where you could invest in 4 or 3 areas and then rent in one. So then you have you have the exact same thing that you would have had before, but you've kept hold of your lump sum. So by renting in tier one, you keep hold of your lump sum, and then you're able to put that into other properties around the world that are far cheaper, but give you better life setup. So then your question may be, and I'll do a comparison on screen now so you can see the difference. But then your question may be, Chris, why did you shit so much on places like Thailand and Bali and Dubai and whatnot in the last video? Well, the reason being is I don't think you can live in these places. I really don't think you can live. Like, would I have a house in Dubai for tax purposes? Yes. Would I have a house in Dubai because when something like COVID hit, it was the only place still functioning, and it was one of the only places you could go and set up and still hit the gyms. All the influencers went out there. Yeah, because it's a polar opposite to somewhere like London. And if you want good weather, you want to go and do business in different areas, you can. It's a great place for that. It would tick that box. But with the type of person that goes out there, for a man like me who is very, very honest, morally sound, likes to tell people as it is, I don't like bullshit, I think I couldn't do more than, I'd have to do 3 months out there to get the tax benefits. But that would irritate me a little bit. I think at the end of those 3 months, I'd be like, get me home. I like the rawness, I like the honesty, I like people telling me the truth. Places like here in London, it makes a major difference to me. And, you know, I just couldn't live in a place like that. You think every woman there is an escort. Everybody knows that. So there's no chance of stability. There's no chance of family. There's no point going out there to meet somebody. So what are you going out there for? Well, the same as what most guys are going out there for, to enjoy tax benefits and enjoy. Okay, but that just sounds to me like a millionaire bachelor's playground. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that doesn't really resonate with me. So it might with you for a few years and whatnot, but I don't think it's your long-term play. If you go out there to rent for a few years, you know, and you just enjoy it and you consider it a tier one city, then I see your logic. If you think you're going to be able to save more money and make more money, I get it. Now, somewhere like Thailand, Bali, whatnot, you don't live in these places. It's just not good enough. Let's just call it as it is. Let's call a spade a spade. It's just not good enough. It's not got everything that London or New York's got. But what it is a holiday home. It's a holiday home. It's somewhere you can go out to, put your feet up, relax, recuperate, you know, go and train, whatever, go and sit on the beach, get a little change of culture. I like that. I love that idea. I mean, we've got a house in Granada. I would consider it a tier 3 city. And it's somewhere you can go out to, relax, put your feet up, hit the gym, as we got the gym at the house, we got the pool. This is for 1M International, for those of you who don't know. And, you know, you can go into the city and you can explore the whole city in like a week. Do you know what I mean? Give it 4 or 5 days and you're like, shit, I'm kind of out of territory here. Like, I've covered every single inch of this place. That's enough. Do you know what I mean? That's enough. I'm not telling you guys off. That's enough. Don't shit on Granada. No, I'm telling you, that's enough. After 4 or 5 days, you are a little bit like, okay, I've explored it. I've done pretty much everything. So in my opinion, a week, let's say 2 weeks, for example, and you have, you know, half the day's recuperation, relaxing, enjoying yourself, and half the day's exploring the city, going out for meals and whatnot. You know, you're getting a bit of sun, you're trying out a few different places, you go up the Sierra Nevada mountains, which we're doing very soon. We're doing a ski event. You know, you do all of that, you tick all those boxes, and then you go, yeah, I think I'm ready to come home now. Unless, you know, you had friends out there, family out there, whatever, then it would be different. But under those circumstances, it's around about a 2-week city. I think somewhere like a Turin, you know, somewhere like that, somewhere like a Valencia, you know, that would be like a 1-month city. And then places like London, you could stay there a year and not have a problem never leaving, because it's just got everything you ever need. And that's my logic. Okay, so next on my list would be a tier 2 city. Okay, tier 2, I would class it as like a Lisbon. You know, Barcelona's on the edge for me. It's like a 1.5, you know, same with Madrid. They're probably it's just, the thing with London and New York is they're mega cities. So I would probably put Barcelona and Madrid in tier 1, maybe, but somewhere like Lisbon, it's a tier 2 city where it's like the prices are significantly lower. You know, I consider somewhere like Washington, D.C. at that level as well. I've been looking at different places around the world recently. I used to consider somewhere like Budapest as tier 2 until I went there and I realized that how raw it was. I actually found it difficult. I was like, after getting used to London, it's really difficult, Budapest. I think it had a fair amount of stuff and a big population. And I do think in summer, it's probably the place to be. I think it's probably really fun. But winter, that was harsh. That was really harsh. We were all there for a 1M International event a few weeks back, and there was about 20 of us that were there. It was nice. It was fun. With the boys, it was fun. Do you know what I mean? We all had a great time. We were hitting the gym. We were all making our way around the city, going out for meals and whatnot, but it was so cold. And it was hostile. I just found people quite, aggressive. People weren't really the most polite. And that's not really my type of place. But in terms of tier 2, yeah, somewhere like Lisbon, okay? Now, why would you need somewhere like Lisbon? And ideally, it needs to be somewhere where you can speak the language, so you can just set up somewhere else and just get on with business. Now, the reason you need somewhere like that is because it's significantly cheaper, but it's still a major city that has everything that you'll ever need. So if you get bored of a certain place, like if I get bored of London, I can just go out to Lisbon. I've got desk, computers, everything set up. You literally walk in the room and you walk in the house and you go, I've got all my facilities. I live here. Maybe it's a girl that you're dating. Maybe it's, your long-term girlfriend, whatever. And you're just like, come on, let's go and do a month in Lisbon. And, it just comes with you. You just have a little month there and then you go, okay, I'm done. Like, I'm out of here. Because I just don't think it's somewhere you can live. I don't think it's somewhere where you can do like top level business and stuff like that. But it allows you to go somewhere else and just have a change of scenery. Because the same place gets boring. Even if you're in like a New York, London, whatever, it will get boring at some point. That you will need a change of scenery. You will need a change of weather. That's a big thing actually. To have a place that's a little bit warmer, a different time of year. I genuinely think my perfect life setup, if I were to tick those 4 across the box, okay, would be London, number 1, because it's just easy for me to be here and it's a major city. So I think, and it's constantly, I think it's about 8 years in a row it's been voted the best city in the world. So London would be my number 1. That would be, where I would rent. I think my business place would have to be Dubai. I'd consider Abu Dhabi, Saudi, Qatar, places like that, because, they're probably going to replace Dubai at some point, and I love the idea of being ahead of the curve. I love that idea, but Dubai is already established, and for right now, 5 years time you could sell it and then go and buy in the other place and whatnot. It kind of keeps you flexible. You could keep moving. Do you know what I mean? You do your research anyway. But let's say Dubai would be my second. For tax purposes and for my backup, so I could get away. And then number 3, as my second tier city, I think I'd have to go with... See, I want to say Barcelona, because I just think Barcelona's got everything you need without being like the mega city, but it is like a 1.5. It's hard not to call Barcelona a major city. Do you know what I mean? It's right up there. So, I don't know, it would be somewhere like that though. It would be somewhere where it would be slightly different. I could get away. It would have, differences, changes. Maybe like, it'd be good to have like Washington, D.C., close to New York, not too far from Miami, something like that. Maybe Washington, D.C. would suit me best, being able to go over to America and stay there for a little while. I think probably that would suit my lifestyle best because, you can always take a holiday to somewhere like Barcelona, but actually having a house that's properly set up in somewhere like Washington, D.C. and it's just like, it's got everything that you need. Like, you've got your furniture in there, you've got food in the cupboards, you've got everything you need, clothes, whatever, suits in there, you can literally just go and stop. That would be pretty useful, I think. Yeah, I think that would be pretty useful, having somewhere like that. And then my holiday home, my dream holiday home location, it would probably have to be somewhere that's going to be warm year round. Sorry guys, I haven't thought about this at all, but it would be somewhere that would have to be warm year round. Somewhere like Mexico, something like that, where you could just have a house on the beach, Colombia, something like that, house on the beach, massive house, just very relaxed. And every time you go out there, it's just feet up. It's just chill. It's just complete relaxation. It could be south of France, southern Italy, anywhere like that, but you would need a place like that. And if you go out on the internet and you have a little search around, if you break it down, you can get these places. You can get these places for all in that same budget, and that's what balling on a budget always was. It's not that I'm shitting on these places and going against it. I'm just saying you can divide your life. That's what it's more about, the division. Instead of just putting all your money into one place in London or New York or wherever, and just being like, right, I've got it now, I've got the house. That's what everyone's ever told me to do, is just buy a house. It's like, yeah, that's not a smart strategy, in my opinion. It's more about the lifestyle. You don't have any options, you're anchored to one place. I just think here's the other thing as well. If you're trying to get a house that's worth 800,000, 700,000 in the UK, it's going to take a while to save up for that because you don't want a mortgage. You don't want a mortgage. You want to buy houses outright, which I know is easier said than done. I've done it with the Granada house. It is easier said than done. But there is not really any benefit to owning it with the bank. Do you know what I mean? Because the bank's just going to charge you interest. They're going to shoot those interest rates up. It's just unpredictable. It's just not a nice scenario to be in. But by having the lower price houses, let's say within everyone's realms of possibility, let's say if you did go for like Bali, let's say if you did go and get a house in like Saudi Arabia now, while it's on the come up, you know, and you can get houses really cheap because you can. And then you went and got tier 2 city, maybe you went and got like a 1-bed apartment in like Lisbon, something like that, okay? You could have a very, very small mortgage, or at least buy 1 or 2 of those outright by saving up. You could. It's around about 6 years to get your 200,000. If you want to whack 200,000 down on something, about 6 years. So over a 12-year period, let's say you start working at 18, by 30 years old, you've managed to secure yourself 2 properties. You've got a very good job, so you're renting in London. You've basically done 3. You've done 3 out of the 4, and then you just save up for the last one. You know, which could be your backup home or something like that, or it could be your second home in the second city, or your holiday home if you want to go lavish and go for something crazy. But you could do all that. You can set it up, and that's worst case scenario. That's somebody with a 9-to-5 job making about who's able to save, let's say, $3,000 a month, who just pushes, gets to a point in their life where they just save $3,000 a month. You know, maybe they're making 5 a month, which I think is within the realms of possibility for everybody up to a certain point in life. And then you just do it that way. I think that's so much better than tying yourself to a mortgage that costs you like $1,500 per month, when you could just be renting for like $2,000 to $3,000 a month anyway. And if you've got a partner and you're going halves, it's the same money anyway. It's 1,500 each. So then you just go, okay, well, we're here for work. This is where the best wages are. This is where the best connections are. This is where we're going to make the best money is. This is where the best schools are for our kids, the best restaurants, all the other things that come with that. Why would we disrupt that flow? But then in the meantime, you're just chucking all your money into things that you would actually own, and your life is better. So like, imagine that. Let's say you end up starting your own business. Let's say you end up making, let's say you're doing a consistent $6,000 a month, okay? And 1.5 plus your missus is doing 1.5. She works, you know, remotely from a laptop as well. And you two are saving a fortune. Every month, 4,500. Let's say minus bills, whatever. Maybe you're saving like 3,000 each. But you do have those properties around the world. And anytime you want, when something happens, oh, it's flu season in the UK, let's go. Let's go over to our Lisbon home. So you go over there for a month, you know, you come back full of energy, ready to go, you know, and you just continue with life. It's Christmas, you enjoy yourself. Everyone else is ill, everyone else is down, seasonal depression and whatnot, and you're back working. You know, you work for another 3 months and you say, do you know what? Do you want to jump on a flight and go over to our holiday home in Greece, for example? You can get super cheap houses in Greece. Okay, let's go over to Greece. And you go over there for like 2 weeks, family, kids, whatever. You go and have a little break. You're enjoying yourself and whatnot. Then you get back home to the UK. Summer's coming up. You've had a good month. Next month starts to rain like it does in the UK some summers. It goes into the next month. You're like, hang on a minute. We've had 6 weeks of rain here. I'm not staying here any longer. They forecast another month of this. Fuck this. We're going to go over to our Dubai place. Do you know what I mean? We're going to go over to somewhere else. You have that option. You have that ability to go from place to place. You know, if you were a single man making 10 grand a month and you were just dating a girl and you're just like, oh, come on, let's go. Let's go over to my other place. Like, it gives you the ability to do that. If you've just gone through a breakup, it gives you the ability to just go holiday home, second city. Let me go and mix it up. I've learned that language fluently. Now I've got 2 different lives. I'm not talking about 2 different families, but you've got different groups of friends, different things that you do, different activities. I don't exactly swim here. Do you know what I mean? I don't exactly jet ski here or windsurf. You've got different hobbies that you can do in different areas. So, you know, I don't ski here, but I could ski in Granada. It gives you different options. It gives you a better life because everyone gets bored. Humans are naturally nomadic. We used to go from place to place to place to place to place. and we naturally would live in tribes. There's two things that we've destroyed in the modern era. Number one, we live in one set place and we just pay bills towards that one set place. And number two, we've convinced everybody that every single person needs their own car and their own house. And it's like, let's say you need a new TV, you've got to pay for that on your own. You go and drop like £500 on a TV, whereas if there was like, I don't know, like 10 of you, family members living in one house, you all chip in, you all do £50 each. It's a lot easier. That's what a lot of, you see Indian families, Middle Eastern families doing. The daughter's not allowed to leave the home until she's married. When the son marries somebody, they move in with him. Like, do you know what I mean? That's not for me, but I look at that and I think that's so much better financially. That's why, religious families seem to be very wealthy. Like people say, oh, how are people from this culture and this culture always doing well? How have they always got money? They just stick together. We get to 18 years old, fly the nest, go over to another part of the world and just, start paying everything on our own. And then it becomes a bit of a struggle. So it's like two of the things that the modern world has convinced everybody that they need. But if you can have that setup, I promise you guys, it will change the game. Like you need to be in a melting pot. You need to be in a tier 1 city. If you're not, you're going to miss out on opportunities. You're not going to grow as quickly. You're seeing 10 million people a day. You're not seeing them, but there's 10 million people there that live there. And then there's 10 million tourists every single day. There's always something going on. When anybody does an event, a concert, a meetup or something like that, it's always in a tier 1 city. That's where everyone wants to be. It's where all the big sports teams are. It's where everything is, okay? It's where opportunities are born. And if you're going to hide away in a smaller place, in a quieter place, the world's just going to pass you by. The world's going to eat you alive. And yeah, sure, some people might want to live that lifestyle where they put on the board shorts and the t-shirt and they're like, oh, I wish I could live like you. More people want to be that top dog in the city. I see it every single day. I go into my gym. My gym's is probably the most expensive gym in Europe. I'd be shocked if it wasn't. There's probably some high-level spa gyms and whatnot, but it's like a traditional gym. There's probably not many more expensive. It's definitely the best in my opinion. And the people in there are killers. Like everybody's competing with each other. I was walking through the changing rooms the other day and I was like, this is like a changing room of like top 1% men, like all just gravitated in one area. I was like, that's fascinating. It can make you feel like, fuck, I'm not good enough. But as soon as you leave that gym, like nobody looks like you. But in that gym, you're just one of many. And I think that's healthy. Having that level of competition as a young man is healthy. It makes you go further, makes you compete for more. Otherwise, if you go and live in like a tier 3 city, there's no competition, so your standards are lower. Like I've lived in Granada for like 4 months collectively. And it's a beautiful place, but the standard of ambition is just like you get a service job. You wait on tables, you just serve people. You serve tables, you make 14 grand a year. You live at home with parents and you wait until you get married and then you inherit their home when they die. Like that's a lot of people's ambitions. Now, nobody's got a problem with it because that's the normal. That's normality. Whereas if you came here on 14 grand a year, you get eaten alive. You wouldn't be able to survive. You'd be homeless. So it pushes you to do more. What you thought was possible, you go, okay, I'm going to have to go next level. You see guys in the gym that are like more jacked than you, more handsome than you, and you're like, I need to push. I need to keep going. As a byproduct of that, you end up being able to build a life that has, for example, the 3 homes that you own and the one that you rent. You have that system. You have the best woman possible in your life who wants to travel with you and stuff like that. That's my idea of born on a budget. The reason it's born on a budget is it's the exact same money that people would put into one property. If people would put 700,000 into one property with the idea of raising a family and living there forever, why not divide that up into like 200,000, 230,000, whatever. Get your holiday home in Bali, get your house in Lisbon, Porto, somewhere like that. The Algarve, you can get really cheap houses there. Lisbon for your second city, I guess would make more sense. Somewhere like Porto, Lisbon, whatever. Like your second city, that would be booked in. Washington, D.C. wasn't even expensive. You can get real cheap, nice houses in like Vegas and stuff like that, which has everything that you'll ever need. Good weather, massive property value. Massive space for the value is what I mean. So you could do something like that. You can get one in like Turin, whatever. You can really mix it up, whatever. It's up to you. It's whatever tickles your fancy. But, then you can go and get something, a cheap house in Saudi, whatever. Like I got told on the phone once, if I drop £200,000 on a house in Dubai, I get all the tax benefits. I would get, I could come and go as I please and I'd only have to do 90 days collectively per year. When you hear that, it's just like, yeah, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer to do that with your money rather than buy it in the UK. You just rent in the UK, you rent in New York, you rent in wherever that melting pot is. Okay, London, New York, Tokyo, whatever, you just rent in these places. Just makes so much more sense. Do you know why you rent as well? Because it makes you flexible. Cities are unpredictable. Cities go up and down. There's one that's good, then there's another one that's good, and then, you think, no, you're not going to live this long, but the biggest cities in history, stuff like, you look at ancient Egypt, you look at ancient Constantinople, you look at Babylon, you look at, all these different places around the world, they don't exist anymore because you're not going to live that long enough, but cities come and go, even in short spans. And what I mean by that is like, London's always probably going to be London during the time frame that we're alive. Same with New York. But they have swings and roundabouts. They go up and down ever so slightly. It's like, oh, it just feels a bit dangerous at the moment. It's not the best places to be because the taxes have gone up a little bit at the moment. It's everybody's in a mood. Oh, it's COVID. Let me get it. Like, you just don't know. Like, cities are unpredictable. They can do, it becomes a police state from now and then. Like, when COVID happened, it was a disgusting place to be in. Like, it gives you that flexibility by renting because you can just give a 1 month's agreement. You just say, look, I'm out in a month. And they're just like, yeah, sure, no worries. You could even leave that night and just pay anyway. Like, that's how flexible you are. You can't do that with the house that you own. But if you've got houses in, I don't know, you've got a house in Costa Rica, it's like you don't even have an army because they just don't have any trouble. Then you've got peace and quiet. You can fly out there, put your feet up, have a little relax, recuperate. And about 2-3 weeks later, you're like, I'm sick of this. Like, I've read so many books. I feel relaxed. I need to get back to like hustle and bustle. I need to see people again. I need to see faces. That's what it gives you. It gives you options, allows you to mix it up. Like I say, humans are nomadic. We all get pissed off. Like anybody who lives in New York, London, whatever, they'll tell you. When it's summer, you're loving it, but you're like, oh, I can't wait for Christmas and winter. When it gets to the end of summer, you're like, oh, winter, this is going to be nice. Autumn, I get to put on a big coat, coffee. I've said this many a time to you guys. Once winter's gone on too long, you get to the back end of winter, you're freezing. You're like, oh, bring on spring and summer. I can't wait to be sat out late at night. But then you start sweating so much. Late August, late September, you're like, oh, I'm done with this now. Like I was in Granada and it was sunny. It was like 30 degrees in September. And I was like, I'm done. Get me out of here. Get me back to the UK. I want to be cold. I was like, I want to put on a big coat. I want to be able to lock in and work. I was like, I've had too much sun, sweating, not being able to sleep at night, just all of that sort of shit. I was like, get me somewhere where it's cold. There was a day it was 30 degrees and I went up the mountain in the car because it was like 9 degrees up there. And I just sat there with the boys and I was like, oh, it's just so relaxing to be cold. I was like, I actually like the fact that I'm cold. I haven't been cold in 4 months. So we need that as humans. We need to mix it up. I don't think it's healthy. That's one of the big reasons why I couldn't live in Dubai as well. I think hot year round doesn't really do it for me. I think I'd want to wear different type of clothes. I want to mix it up. I think it's healthy to have that. It's healthy to have that system. So that is what Born on a Budget is. It's the same budget you would have spent anyway. You're just mixing it up. It just makes so much more sense to me. And then if you want to be in the big tier 1 melting pots, you rent, because renting keeps you flexible. And then think about it. If you were like, fuck, this rent is so expensive, the rents keep going up, just stop and leave. Like, if your mortgage is going up, and the interest rates are going up, and you're like, I have to fork out an extra £300 a month here, and you don't have it, you're in trouble. You're in serious trouble. This happens to a lot of people. Whereas if you go, okay, rent's gone up by 300. Do you know what, landlord? Fuck you. Goodbye. Let someone else pay it. I'm out of here. And you just move. You just go to the other place. You go where rent's reasonable at the moment. I'm just going to go to a different place around the world. I'm going to go and get a visa for a couple of years. I'm going to go and live there. I'm going to mix it up. And if you've got your other 3 houses, you can get out, go and live somewhere, set up for a little while whilst you're searching. It just makes you so flexible. Like I said, when COVID happened, if you had 3 or 4 different locations around the world that you could just jet off to and just go, I'm okay here, this isn't a problem, that puts you in such a position of strength. Gives you multiple passports as well. Maybe you speak different languages. Guys, that's life setup 101. That's like the James Bond lifestyle. But guess James Bond, where did he always come back to? London. Always came back to base. You see it in every single James Bond movie. He starts in London, usually, or around there. Or if he isn't, the opening scene is somewhere like Senegal, and then when he's completed mission, what does he do? Come back to London for a debrief. And then he spends a bit of time in London, and then he goes off to the next place. That's pretty much the perfect lifestyle. New York, London, Tokyo, Shanghai, one of these major melting pots that Here's what I don't like when I go outside of London. Slowness of service, number one, pisses me off. But number two, if it's like, if I've just got off a flight and it's 11 p.m., I want to be able to go and grab some food. You know, if I even want to hit the gym, I want to be able to hit the gym. I can do that here. If I want to hang out with somebody, I can. You know, there's always something to do. There's always somewhere to go. There's always the options are just inexhaustible. Whereas if I was somewhere like I remember in Granada they do stay up late, but in Granada after a certain time on like a Sunday, it's dead, it's done, it's closed. In Gloucestershire, where I grew up, closed, done. Everything's closed by 4 p.m. on a Sunday. And that's what I like, being able to do anything at any given time. Possibilities are endless. Having that as an option via the renting route is perfect. Absolutely perfect. And you're not, look, when you live in a London, New York, you're not here for the houses. If you're worth like 10, 15, 20 million, buy a house here. Buy a house here. Your asset is secure. It's only going to go up in money. It makes so much more sense. But for the average person who's got less than like 10 million in the bank, it just doesn't make sense. You might as well just rent somewhere half decent. It just doesn't add up. You know, for me, it doesn't really check out. Like, I don't see the benefit. You're not here for the houses. You might as well just rent something half decent. Do you have a garden? No. Do you have a balcony? No. It's like, but how much time do you want to spend in your house in London, New York? Not a lot. You want to be out and about. You want to be enjoying yourself. That's why you're here. You're here for the restaurants. You're here for the shows. You're here for the sports events. You're here for the people. You're here for the rooftop bars. You're not here, you're here for the shopping and stuff like that. You don't come to somewhere like London to sit in your house. You do that in your manor house in the countryside, that you go and drop, you drop 400,000 on a detached house in the countryside. That's what that's for. But in London, you drop 400,000, you're going to get a one-bed flat in a shithole, in a really bad area where it just feels dangerous. So it's not worth doing. It's so much better to just rent and just stay flexible. You can come and go as you please. It's easy. You can even leave the place that you're in and come back and rent in another place any other time. If you're not happy, you want to move. That area has changed. You know, it's crime's gone up. Crime's gone up a little bit in that area. I'm going to move out, try another place for a little while, and then I'm going to come back when I figured out where I want to go after that. It just makes you so flexible. I love that idea. So that is the premise of balling on a budget. You know, the houses around the world, Montenegro, and everything that I went through with you guys, like, that's on the table, but I couldn't live in Montenegro. Do you know what I mean? I always said to you guys, you can go here for a week, you can come here, you can fly to this place. If you had a house here, you can jet here, get on your boat. How long can you do that for? You got to work at some point. You got to continue making the money. Everyone wants to do the 4-hour work week from a laptop in, you know, the arsehole of nowhere whilst on a beach, naked. And it's like, guys, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Like, you have to James Bond it. You have to come back here to debrief, get your work done, have those boring months so that then you can go and do the fun shit afterwards. Not that it's boring here because there's so much to do, but you get my point, guys. Be able to mix it up. Have options. You know, have the major melting pot, the holiday home, have the backup city that is also, you know, a tax haven or good for business. And then have your second tier city with maybe different weather, different culture, different food. You know, somewhere that is warm different months to what the UK is warm in. And, you know, you can just go somewhere else. You can go somewhere else. Like the thought for me of getting to like January 2nd and being, or let's say the end of January in the UK. You get to the end of January and you go, that's been a long, long winter. You know, we still got another 2 months, 3 months until it gets warm again. Let me go out to Lisbon for a month, go and get some sun on my face. Let me go out to Barcelona for a month, go and get some sun on the face, sit on the beach, have a little stroll around, be able to walk around in a t-shirt at night, you know, mix it up a little bit. You just get sick of certain things. Being able to sit out at night, look at the sunset, enjoy a glass of red wine, not be shivering your ass off. That's nice. That's really nice. You know, go out for a morning walk and not be absolutely dying. That changes things. Being able to run on the beach in the morning, have a swim in the sea, although it would be pretty cold, but you get my point. It's just, it changes things up. It keeps life fresh. I think when you're in one place for too long, you get stale. And that's what my idea of Born on a Budget is. It's the same life that everyone else lives financially. It's the exact same cost, the exact same price, but you just get 4 times the value for your money. You know, you could divide that down and have 3. You could bump that money up. You could go, instead of 700, I'll do 350 for 2 properties. You're like, I don't really need a tax haven, or if I've got an A city, I don't need a B city. I just need, you know, or for you, it might be I've got a holiday home and a B city. I can have a city break, holiday break, like beach break, city break, and my main city. That might be it for you, and then you rent in the main one. Either way, it just makes you happy. Like, that's what I encourage so many people to do. Don't just go and get a mortgage on one house and sit in one location, walk the kids to school down the same route every single day, see the same people, do the same shit. It gets boring. You're looking at the same four walls, going to the same type of restaurants and stuff like that. It just allows you to mix it up. And I think renting in the tier one city and then having those other options, as I brought up on screen, is the answer. That is balling on a budget. So don't get confused, guys. Don't think I'm shitting on these other places and contradicting what I said. It's just you can't live in these other places. You can do a week in the holiday home, 2 weeks max. You can do a month in the tier 2 city, 2 months max. I mean, I've done 4 months in Granada. After 2, I was ready to come home. And the second time I went out there, I had to only do, I think I had to do about 32 days, something like that. By about day 23, 24, I was like, I need to go. I need to get home. And that tells you something. That's week 3 into week 4. And I had a car and everything. I had people that I knew. I was dating people out there. And it's just like, it's just not enough. I felt like I'd just done everything. Now, if I had 10 people with me, would have been different. I would have easily done a month. But under those circumstances, I was like, okay, I'm ready to go now. I am ready to go. So you just got to think about it in that sense, guys. But divide your life up. It makes you way happier. I think it's way more sensible. I think it makes you look more like a Mr. International, gives you that James Bond lifestyle. And it's what I would promote to you guys time and time again. And I will never change on that. But yeah, supplements are on pre-order. They'll probably be ready in around about 2 weeks. The supplier's got to get them to me. And due to the changes, I'll either be packaging them or somebody that I know is going to be packaging them who does this as a business. So we will get them to you guys. Don't worry about that. If it's me who's packaging them, I'm going to write a handwritten note for every single one of you. It's going to be a unique note. I'm just going to sit there and just come up with things that I want to teach people. Just send it out there in the package like I used to when I signed the books back in the day. So if you want that, pre-order. The link will be below, guys. If you're part of the school community, the paid community, there's discount codes. So, and I think in the free community as well, you might get 5% off too. So it's definitely worth signing up for that beforehand. And if you're in 1M International, you get a heavy discount. So, right then, guys, I'll speak to you all soon.